Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to today's session for Testimonies and Tea. This is our third session, I think, for Testimonies and Teas, and today is Ladies' Night. So today's a special night where we're going to have a panel of ladies, and we're just going to be talking and being real about life, basically, about what it means to be a woman in Christ and some of the things that we struggle with, some of the things that we've been through. And as much as we're being real, it's also an opportunity for us to share with you and minister to everyone who's watching. So welcome to those that are watching, wherever you're watching from. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us today. In this moment in time, we're just going to go into a word of prayer, and then the panel is going to come and introduce themselves. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just want to give thanks and praises unto your name. Thank you for giving us the time to come together just so that we can meet, we can share, we can testify, we can talk about your love, we can talk about your mercy, your kindness and your grace, and everything that you've done for us in our lives. Please be with those that are watching, Lord. Open our hearts, open our minds, Lord, so we may be able to hear your message. May we decrease so you may increase, Lord, and may people hear you through our words. In your mighty name, I humbly pray. Amen. So in this moment in time, I am going to bring the ladies over, and then you guys can see the panel that we have. Good evening, ladies. Okay, you guys can mute yourself now.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. So this is the panel that we have tonight. We've got Nom. If you could wave your hand, Nom. We've got Yolanda. We've got Melissa. We've got Gugu. We've got Nonsi, Petty, Mutsa, Sophie, and Vimbai. So these are the ladies that have chosen to be brave enough to come and be live on the internet so that they can share their experiences of growing up as a woman in Christ, the struggles that they've been through. And today's session is just for us to just open up and be real. So again, like I've always said, this is a safe space. So be yourself, ladies. Feel free, be comfortable. I hope you guys have your tea. Where's your tea? It is a testimonies and tea session. You guys.
I brought my Zoe, guys.
I've got water, but
Well, that works as long as you've got some beverages, because we're going to be opening up. We might need some water to parch them for those parched throats. So anyways, in this moment in time, we're going to go into our introduction section. So I'm going to put you ladies on the spot. So it's just a case of introducing yourself and tell us one strange thing about yourself. Just one strange thing. Like I said, I'm just going to put you on the spot. So I'm going to start with Nonsi.
I haven't really had the chance to think about it. Yeah, my name is Nonsi. So I honestly don't know. Let me tell you that right now. That might be the strange thing in itself.
That might be the strange things. Okay. So how old are you and what are you currently doing?
I am 23 years old and I'm a student. I study architecture.
Okay, good. So I'll come back to you later on when everyone else has answered their strange thing. So now I'm gonna go to Yolanda.
Yo.
Hey.
Yeah. So I'm Yolanda, I'm 27, and strange thing, I can't think of one. I'm not that strange, I like to think. And yeah, fabulous, but that's not strange. But stop. But yeah, so in terms of work-wise, I'm a respiratory specialist nurse advisor. So that's my background really, but yeah, don't have anything strange to say.
All right, so we've got an architecture and a nurse. What, respiratory, what? Say that again?
It's not just a nurse, respiratory specialist nurse advisor, PNS.
Thank you. I didn't get it. That's why I asked you to repeat it. But thank you very much. Okay, next we're gonna have Vimbai.
Hi guys, my name is Vimbai. I am 24 years old. I'm a junior civil engineer / project manager in construction. Strangest thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Just a bit low. If you could just.
The strangest thing I can't think of one. It's literally like put on the spot. I can't actually think of one. I will find them by the time we finish this. I'll tell you what the strangest thing is.
Okay, it's all right. I'll put you guys on the spot again. It's all right. Those that can't come up with the answers, okay. So next we're gonna go to Mutsa.
Hi guys, my name is Mutsa. I'm 25 and I'm a radiographer. And one strange thing about myself, I'm slow at getting jokes sometimes.
Okay, cool. See, that's how you do it, ladies. Next we're gonna have Gugu.
Okay, I guess the strangest thing about me, gosh, yeah. So like my biggest phobia in life, for those of those who know me, I'm afraid of birds. So I think that's probably, yeah, that's huge. I just can't. How old am I? I'm 30 years old, just recently turned 30, and I work in human resources.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then now we're gonna go to Petty.
Hi. Yeah, so my name's Petty. I'm 25. I'm an entrepreneur. That's another way of saying I'm jobless. But I am a medical student. And strange thing about me is I'm allergic to the cold, like legit. I'm allergic to cold. I have like a form of vasculitis that like my blood vessels basically pop when I go temperature change. So I guess that's strange.
Is that when you get the hives and everything?
Yeah, I get hives basically. It's like genetic. My mom gets it, my sister gets it. My brother has a form of it, but he gets like nosebleeds from temperature change.
Wow. Okay. Okay, and then now we're gonna go to Nom.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nom. I am 27 years old. My birthday is next month, so woo. Strange thing. Oh, where do I work? I'm employed by NatWest Bank. Nothing exciting. Pays the bills. Strange thing about me. Actually, I've recently come to terms with the fact that there's a possibility that maybe I wouldn't call it sleepwalking because one, I don't walk. Number two, it's I don't know what, but anyway, let me explain. So I recently realized, not recently, but over the years, I've realized that I sometimes take random trips to the kitchen or to the bathroom, and then I wake up, I don't remember them. I only remember them because something in the bathroom isn't where I left it, or something in the kitchen isn't where I left it, and I live on my own, so there's nobody else here unless if there is, and I don't know. But that's very strange. But yeah, that's me.
Maybe Nella might help you with that, since we have a dog.
Oh, girl, please.
In the house. So
yeah, you're basically sleepwalking, sis.
She might give you some help with that, but yeah, I don't know. Now we'll go to Melissa.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa. I work in operations and finance for the British Heart Foundation at the head office in Birmingham, and I also own a hair business and I have a YouTube channel. So I just do everything, and I'm 22 years of age.
Thank you very much. And then now we'll go over to Sophie.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Sophie. I am a student. I study law at the current moment. A weird thing about me is I have a twin brother, and me and him have birthmarks on the same ear. He has a birthmark like this, and mine is just not complete.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much.
I forgot to say a strange thing about me.
Oh yeah, sure, go on.
I have really small ears. I'm not gonna show you guys, you're probably gonna laugh. But they're like super tiny, and every single person I show gets so shocked. But
Can you show us?
Are so small.
Are we allowed to see them?
You want to see?
Mm.
Okay. Can you see?
They're not even that small. I feel like mine are smaller.
In person, they are proper tiny.
Oh, bless you. But they're not that bad.
I didn't even know they were small until like people would point it out to me. I thought everybody had these ears, and then people were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe your ears are so small," and I'm like, "Oh really?"
Bless you. It's all right. We are made in His image, so it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So thank you, ladies, so much for introducing yourself, and I hope you've relaxed a little bit. And now we're about to get into the nitty-gritty of our program. So there's a couple topics that we're covering in today's program. We're going to be talking about self-esteem. We're going to be talking about negativity and then expectations that people have on you. Then we're going to be talking about self-worth. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about supporting women in businesses. So it's 4 different topics that we'll be talking about. And there's a couple questions that I will ask you to just open up and be free about. So whoever wants to jump in and answer the question, please feel free to do so. So we'll just jump straight into it because of time. And with regards to self-esteem. So self-esteem, and it's probably one of the biggest things when it comes to growing up, being a young Black girl. Your self-esteem sometimes is challenged by so many things that you experience through primary school, high school, university, and then going into the, your work life. So I just want you guys to open up about certain struggles that you have faced individually through certain different areas in your life with your self-esteem.
Okay, I'll go. For those who know me, know that I'm in a wheelchair. Those who don't know me won't know that, and now you know that. So there you go. And I remember when I was young, that was because I haven't been in it all my life. I went in it permanently when I was 12 years old, and that was really, really tough on my self-esteem, because it was obviously I'm now different to. Start off with, I was the only person in my whole school that was in a wheelchair. That's both primary school and secondary school. So that was, and that affected my self-esteem because I looked around me and there was no one like me. So that made me different, and even people would point out that I was different. And I knew that, but it impacted my self-esteem in the sense that I felt that because I was in a wheelchair, it meant that I couldn't have a self-esteem, number one, or it meant that I wasn't really the same as everybody else. But now, obviously, over time, I came to realize I'm fabulous and what.
Yes.
So that was sort of, there's been other instances in life, but that was my big thing that affected my self-esteem. Yeah.
I just have one question with regards to that.
Yeah.
How, because, look, growing up and everything, and nowadays we talk about representation in terms of the different faces, skin tones, hair, and basically everything, the way that we are as human beings, how representation is important in the media, in certain things that actually impact our life. Growing up, did you feel there was enough representation for people with disabilities?
No, I didn't actually. Obviously I knew they were there, but they weren't, in my eye view, like even like in the church, they, unless if I went to like a huge like church event, i.e. kept meeting or whatever that was that big, then I could see maybe someone else. But the representation really just was not great. There wasn't what I felt. 1, I'm a woman. 2, I'm Black, and 3, I'm in a wheelchair. Like 3 strikes, you're out. So I didn't feel like the representation was really there, to be honest. And I felt like that actually, it felt really heavy on my shoulders as well, because I felt like I now had to represent all these, represent for everybody. And now, it's all right, it's cool. But when I was younger, that was a lot to deal with, because I couldn't see other people around me that were like me. So I thought.
Okay.
I think like what you said is important, because I think a lot of self-esteem issues, like even if I was to say mine, whether it was my hair or my body or whatever when I was growing up, it's all rooted in being different. Like we're just, and it comes from childhood, and then in the childhood is rooted in being different. So most of the time, whether it's in school where you all have to wear the same uniform, right? It's uniformity, you're all supposed to look the same. Whether it's on the TV where you're only seeing one type of woman, that's because every woman's apparently supposed to look like that, or whatever. It comes from the idea that I need to look exactly like Sarah and Ben and whoever else is next to me. So my self-esteem, I think a lot of young men and women, when we're younger, it's I'm different. So what is it that makes me different? Is it my skin color? Am I the only black person in my school? Am I the only white person? Am I the only person with natural hair? So whatever it is that made you stand out when you were a child or when we're younger, that's what most people have low self-esteem about. For me, I went to a predominantly white school and area. So my hair was one of my biggest insecurities. It's, oh my goodness, I have Afro hair. I don't want it. I want to relax my hair. I want to whatever I can do to make myself look as white as possible. Why? Not because I want to be white, but because I want to fit in. I don't want to stand out, because standing out for some weird reason when we're younger, standing out is a problem. So it's self-esteem is rooted in uniformity. I want to look like everyone else. And I don't know where we get that from, because it's so counter opposite to what God has made us in. You know what I mean? Like we're just different, like genetic, everything, we're different. And that's a beautiful thing. But when you're younger, it's like, oh my goodness, no, I just don't want to be different. So that's where my and most people, I think, self-esteem issues like rooted from the most.
I like the point that you added at the end, where you were basically talking about how the way that we're created, we're all meant to be different. So it makes no sense for all of us to just try and live up to a standard where we're all meant to be the same. If we're all meant to be the same, then yeah, it would be boring. It would be very, very boring for us to be here. And I think one of the biggest things to remember in terms of the way that we're created, we're all created with a purpose. If we all had the same purpose, I think we'd be in heaven. Jesus would have come a long time ago. But we're all created with a different purpose for different reasons. So therefore we are meant to be different. We are meant to show certain things. I'm pretty sure a lot of young people have seen Nom, because I've seen Nom speaking in different events and different places. I'm pretty sure little girls have looked at her and said, wow, if she can be so brave and confident, I'm pretty sure I can do that as well. So I think it's a case of understanding that we are meant to be different. So anyone else have anything to share?
I have like particularly two that I struggled with when I was like in class. So one was not being able to be stable in any relationship that I was in. So like I always felt like every single time I got into a relationship, something had to happen. Like, you know, I was never able to even keep any relationship for at least 1 year. Like, for me to say, you know, I was with like 2 years, you know, I couldn't do that. It was just always something that happened. So I would always question myself, like, what's wrong with me? Like, you know, why am I not able to, I don't know, like find someone for me? But I think, like, you know, after like prayer and things like that, God has a way of revealing himself. And then when you start to change, I then realized there's so many things that was, you know, wrong with me internally, you know, and there were so many things that I had to change for myself. And once I got to that point, you know, I found that for me, it was just, you know, easier than to get with someone. And now I've been married for like a year now, which I'm really grateful for. But as I was growing up, I literally convinced myself that I might not get married. I don't know. I can't keep a relationship. How? So that was one of the things that I struggled with. But later on, I also struggled after university with trying to, again, stabilizing with the job. So I feel like when you come out of university, like it's a thing where you feel like, you know, I have to either get a job even before I finish, which most people in healthcare within the NHS, you normally get a job before you even finish, which is a great plus. But because I wasn't in the NHS, it was quite hard to find a job in the sort of like corporate industry. So it took a while to get a job that I would, you know, was stable in. And that's something that, again, I struggled with because I just thought, you know, I've done this degree for 3 years and I'm literally just going to come out and I'm not going to find something that is, you know, fit for me, and at least, I don't know, something that I'll be able to be happy with, and, you know, be happy with the job that I have. So again, that was something which I think, you know, a lot of people coming out of uni struggle with. Especially I think maybe in this environment where now we've had the COVID-19, a lot of businesses are going to probably close. And then, you know, there's less probably opportunities of, you know, jobs and things like that, which I think probably more people will face coming onto the future. But yeah, just you know, patience is everything. And, you know, sometimes you might not get the job straight away. Sometimes you have to wait for months. Sometimes you have to hop from one to another, or internships or apprenticeships or things like that, until you eventually come to a point where, you know, it is there. But God always has something in store.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else with a point before we move on to the next question?
I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Go on, it's fine. Go on. I'll speak after you.
Okay. Mine is a quick one. So when I started university, I think when I started off, I was so excited and I was completely very, very self-confident. And when I started uni, I think because it's such a creative course and everyone is so smart, I almost felt like it was a really weird phenomenon. Like I felt like I shouldn't be here. I was like, these people are so smart. How did I even get on this course? Like, you know, sometimes you question, like, how did I get here? So like, yeah, it's something that I'm actually still struggling with now, even though I'm about to finish. I'm just like, I'm literally like, how did I end up here? And I think I because I put a lot of value in the work that I do, and in, let's say, the kind of grades I would get from the work that I do, because obviously when I was younger, like when I was doing GCSEs and A-level, it was smooth, I was getting good grades and I was like, yes, I'm smashing it. So then you get to uni and you're like, oh, I'm not actually, you know, smashing it anymore. So I was like, so I was really stressed out. And I think because I put so much value in that, I actually went into this very dark place where I was just like, that's it, you know, I'm not smart enough to be doing architecture. I should just like go and do something else. Like there were many times where I was like, you know what, maybe I should just get out of it. Like it's too hard. Like it's literally like killing me. But I think over time, it's like God told, well, he didn't really come down and be like, yo, by the way, like I think I got this sense of comfort in knowing that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him in the first place. Because even the way I got into the course, there was absolutely no, like, it was a madness. But I think I realized, okay, God wants me to be here, and there's a reason why he wants me here. And yeah, I've stopped like placing my value in in the sort of grades I'll be getting, but rather like take those things and learn from them, and, you know, develop as a person, because there's so many things I needed to do to grow. So I needed to get out of that pride of saying your life is going to be smooth forever. I needed to also learn to actually really commit and work in something that may be difficult. So yeah, I think that's my thing, really. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I think it's important for us ladies, or anyone else who's watching, to understand that imposter syndrome is so real. You can tell yourself that I've made it somewhere, and the moment you get in, you're like, can I really do this? Even though you worked so hard for it. And I think personally, it's just one of the devices that the devil uses sometimes to make us doubt the potential that God sees in us. God would have put you in a situation where he feels, if I put Tari in this situation, she's going to make a difference for someone's life or for her own life as well. And then you get there and you're like, should I really be here? Do I really have the knowledge? Can I speak in meetings? Can I do this thing? And simply, it's just the doubt that we carry in us sometimes that prevents us from actually excelling the way we're meant to be. Gugu, you had a point, I think?
Yeah, I was just going to add on to, I guess, what Melissa said in terms of relationships, because I think for me, like basically all of my 20s, I think I was placing my hope and trust and my focus on finding the one, me being the right person for the one, but obviously that was not successful as I'm 30 and have no one. But then I think throughout that I've learned, I remember like on the night before I turned 30, my sister sent like this video that all of my friends had sent me, just like, and I saying how much, you know, they valued me in their life. And that really touched me because it made me realize that I'd put so much of who I was as a person in things and people that would never ever appreciate me. And I think sometimes we lose our self-esteem because we put things and people, one, who can't appreciate us, in situations that are not great for us. And I think it's when you shift that focus and think, actually, I'm the only one who can change my situation. The people who will validate or speak into me becoming a better person. And when you focus on that, and it really made me think, you wasted 10 years not acknowledging who God is in your life, knowing that he loves you so much. You have friends and family who love you so much, and you should be loving yourself so much. And I think through that and understanding that, it really helps to elevate your self-esteem. And I think a second thing would probably be the way I looked sometimes as well, like my teeth, as you can see, I have a gap and hasn't been the biggest, so something that I celebrated for the longest time, because I guess, like you said, someone said in the media, we should look a certain way. But actually in other places in the world, having a gap is celebrated. And I think we allow ourselves to be confined to what we see maybe in the West where we are, but actually you've been made to look this way for a certain reason and you should celebrate it. Yeah, so that's what I have to add.
And I actually love your gap, to be honest.
Very
I really
cool.
do.
It is.
Say like in Zim, whenever I saw someone with a gap, I was like, why did I not have a gap? It was something so nice, like honestly, like your gap is nice.
I just have one question to what you said, Gugu. Like, it's weird, but I think it's maybe something that society, our parents, the church, even ourselves have placed on us. But why is 30 such a big benchmark for once you turn 30, you have to be married, you have to have kids, your career has to be amazing? Why is 30 that number that everyone else says, oh my gosh, you're 30 and you're not married?
I don't know. I think maybe historically it was like, yeah, you have to have your everything together. But I think now, like the way that the world is going, it's not that. Like, you don't really know what's going on at 30. Sometimes you don't even find your dream. I think I fell into HR probably when I was like 27, and it's only now that I'm starting to climb the ladder. And I think just now, I think perceptions are changing. Even when I speak to my mother, she's like I was talking to her last week. She's like, don't worry, this whole marriage thing, it'll happen when it happens. And yeah, just surrounding yourself with people who are understanding, you know?
Yeah. I think it's like biological or maturity as well. Like in women are supposed to have fully matured, and you're not going to get any more mature in all areas of life after 32. Yeah. And with men is 35 or 40, I can't remember, 35. But for women, I know it's 32. So maybe that was like the closest decade year that was like from now on you're supposed to, but it still doesn't make sense, because I mean, if we don't fully mature to 32 to 35, then surely we shouldn't be having all this life goals before then. But
true.
I think it's because also back in the day, maybe our parents and their parents, they by 30 they probably had like 3-4 kids, you know, so it's that pressure of kind of seeing where maybe our parents and aunties and grandmas have been, and we see ourselves, you know, approaching it, and we think, you know, sometimes they very quickly tell you, you know, when I was your age, I had good kids and a husband, you know, and then so you instantly feel like, 30 is not far, or you reached it and you feel unaccomplished because they you know, they had that at the age, but then times are different, their situations are different to ours, and some of them were in marriages they're not business being in because of just being 30, you know. So no, it's fine.
That's true. Okay, ladies, if anyone else doesn't have anything else to share on that, I'll just move on to the next part. And it was just to speak on the concept of, you know, since we are women in Christ, do you think that, probably going to get crucified for this, but hey-ho, do you think that in the church, do we have proper support systems for women and their self-esteem? No, you're shaking your head, but you're not saying anything.
Because guys, you know me, I talk too much, so I'm trying to give everyone a chance to speak. But I don't personally. Okay. So I feel like there are individuals in the church who who give that support or who are capable of that. But church as a whole, I find not really, because it's that whole thing again that the pressure that is put on us. It's like you have to, you know, dress a certain way. If you're, you know, you could be dressed fine. Then if their husbands look at you, you're the problem. No, it's not your husband is looking, it's I'm the problem. But okay, so that's, again, to me personally, I think that's a lack of support. You know, we're looked as the problem very, very quickly. So even when we're going through self-esteem, and also within our community, it's not taken seriously. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like if you let's say if you went to your auntie, you know, from church or whatever, and be like, hey, no, me, I'm struggling with this, you know, and it's affecting my self-esteem. They'll be like, self-esteem for what? Oh, get off, like, you know, move on, like pray. I mean, I'm all about prayer. Don't get me wrong, I love me some prayer, but do you see what I'm saying? I don't feel like there is a hands-on support, the support that really is needed. There is a lot of throwaway comments and a lot of that's very silly, like grow up.
I think that's not just on self-esteem. Like I was speaking to one of my friends earlier today, and we were just saying, you know, approaching our parents, some of us are lucky in the sense that we have parents that understand mental health, but just approaching your parents and saying, I'm depressed. You have one that will say, depression, I'm paying bills, you went to school, you're eating, you know, what are you depressed about? But because sometimes they don't, I mean, at the same time, we also need to be understanding that they didn't grow up in that environment or that culture where mental health was seen as something that needs to be focused on. Again, I totally understand your point, Norm, in the sense that you get the, oh, just pray about it, or the comments of why are you depressed? Get over it. If you say I'm sad, why don't you try to be happy? Don't you think I would have tried that a long time ago? But you know, it's simple things like that. And I don't know if anyone does anyone disagree with one Norm?
No, I don't disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that I feel like in the church community, it's just assumed that like you should know that your self-esteem comes from your relationship with God, and you should pray about it. You know, I think it's just implied that you should just go and, you know, if you feel a bit sad, just pray and it will disappear. And I think that's where the problem lies. But yeah, that's it really. Sorry, Vimbai, sorry, Yolanda.
It's my point, but I'm literally going to end on what she said. A lot of times when we approach...
Sorry, Vimbai, I can't hear you properly, sorry.
A lot of times when you approach people at church, I mean, I'm not saying everyone, there are certain individuals where they think when you tell them about your problem, because we're in the church setting or because we go to the same church, the solution is to just say, pray about it. And it could be, that's how they grew up, basically. It's how they were told things should go. But they don't realize, yes, I know that I have to pray about it, but I probably need support from someone, emotional support. Okay, what are practical ways that I can do for me to not be depressed, for me to not be in the situation that I'm in? On top of that, we will be praying, but I'm trying to approach you as someone that can be accountable for what I'm trying to get out of. So you have to be checking on me. But a lot of times they feel it's more, it will look appropriate if they say, let's pray about it. God says this. I know God says that, but that's not the answer that I'm looking for. So give me practical ways. So maybe, you know, even to the people that are listening, sometimes it's not just pray about it. Okay, I know that I need to pray about it. So what then?
Yolanda, you had a point?
I think I was going to say that I think sometimes we put pressure on church people as well, because I think I've come to understand that people have got certain childhood traumas that we may not be aware of. So for example, I may come to a church auntie expressing issues I'm dealing with, unbeknown to me, not knowing that she actually suffered through that and there's no delta there. So by me confessing or by me opening up to her, I think we need to be aware that when we do want to share with people, that, you know, we need to check out they're in the right mental space. And I think I'm quite an advocate that, you know what, therapy is available. You know, it's the thing, yes, we are Christians, we can pray about it, but when there's certain things you need to do with, you need the right channels and the right avenues, because you don't know the paths people have walked on, especially when it comes to depression and our parents not understanding it. A lot of us don't actually think that our parents went through a traumatic thing, leaving their families behind. Many of our parents, they were the first ones to come here, lived in England by themselves, then had people start coming through, we don't know the pressures they dealt with, like, in the 1990s, early 2000s, we don't know what they dealt with. So then when now we are woke, so to speak, as young people, like now we're like, oh, they don't understand this, that. I think we also need to take a step back and understand, actually, had it been me who'd moved by myself 20 years ago with nothing, how would I have dealt with certain situations? So I think as young people, we may be quick to judge that, oh, church ladies are this, church ladies are that, without understanding what traumas they hold, what traumas they've not identified or even dealt with. So by us, and I think I'm the kind of person where if I'm going through something, before I even check in with someone, I always say to them, how are you? Not like, how are you? Like, no, but mentally, are you in a good space to receive me?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what someone is carrying. And many a time as friends, we've got this notion of, oh, I can just call Gugu. Before I even hear how she's saying, I'm here just offloading my trauma onto her. And I come off the phone feeling amazing, like, okay, I've offloaded, I can move on. And now she's got her trauma, my trauma, and it's a vicious cycle that goes on, and especially when you're perceived as a strong friend. And I think it's a bit selfish in a way, but now I approach my relationships that way, even when my friends call me, because they feel like, oh, I'm the strong person, that when I felt like I was going through a lot of things, a lot of people didn't think, oh, Yolanda would ever go through that, because, you're the strong person. So when you then break down, it's like, oh, so you're really dealing with all that, and yet, you kept us going. So I think let's just be mindful when we speak about, the church in this manner, because, we are all on an individual Christian journey, so to speak. And I may not be where you are. So I may come to church every Sabbath, but maybe I've never opened my Bible in 2 years. You don't know that. So when I then start judging, you're coming at, oh, I should come to church every Sabbath. Am I convicted though? Because I'm just an empty vessel coming to church. We don't know. So I think it is good, to have this discussion so that we are aware that let's not be quick to say, oh, church folks, this church, because we may be the problem. So it's identifying what part am I playing in this, be accountable for your behaviors as well, and acknowledge actually what happened to you is, the way you react to certain things, do you need to deal with your own traumas as well? And I think you will see personal growth, and as a congregation, you will literally grow as well, because then you're more aware of each other.
Yeah. And also, can I just say, very quickly, what Yolanda said, I really agree with that. And sometimes people don't realize they've gone through trauma until maybe they're triggered, or until they hear your trauma and realize that they've gone through trauma. So I absolutely agree that sometimes people's reactions to us, it may seem harsh, or it may seem like they don't care, but sometimes you may have come across somebody who genuinely didn't realize that what they'd been through was a trauma until they come, you come face to face with them. So their reaction isn't because of you or what you're saying, but they've been triggered. They're remembering their own traumas and realizing they've got things they've got to deal with. So I absolutely agree with what Yolanda is saying. It's very important to be mindful of other people's past and present.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as well, like what Yolanda said. I think that sometimes, I think I sometimes come from the other side, that I think as a young generation, we're very entitled. We're entitled to, you need to listen to me and my problems, and you are the issue because you don't have time for me, we're very, and I understand where we come from with that, because we're, like what Yolanda said, the woke generation, right? Like, let's talk about mental health, and it's all great and stuff, but we are in a different cultural system to our parents and the older church aunties. So we need to come from a place of humility as well as serving people. For the, our church and our mothers, they've gone through depression and anxiety and all that. They couldn't put names and stuff to it, but they've gone through it as well. Sometimes we're like, oh, they're so ignorant. Maybe they're not ignorant. Maybe they just don't know how to speak about it. And maybe you need to serve someone, and you need to be the person that says, Auntie, how are you doing? I know, I'm not saying they might speak to you. They might not. They might just be like, this young woman, what do you know, kind of thing, whatever. But we sometimes come from a place of too much entitlement, I think. And also when we say the church and support system, I think that we need to also differentiate what we mean by the church, because the church is people, yes, me and you and our aunties, our uncles, everyone, but the church is also the institution. And when we talk about the church as the institution, I know for our church, if I'm talking about the Seventh-day Adventist Church, so they do have counselors, they do have, your pastor is meant to be that. So they do have the system there. They might not be great. Your pastor does not have a psychology degree or psychiatry, whatever, but it is there to what they can do. I'm not saying it's great. They could be better, but we can't say it's not there. Or even like, I know that for our church as well, they even have a proper counselling service based in London that you can call. I think you have to pay for it though, but I know that it's there. So sometimes we have to come from a place of just not complaining all the time. You know, oh, we don't have this, don't have it. Of course we don't. You know, nowhere's perfect. The grass always looks green on the other side. You know, oh, that church has this, or that denomination has that. But I think we do have things that we can use that we haven't even tried, but we just say, oh, the church doesn't support us. But have you tried the counseling service? Have you called your pastor to speak to him about your issues? Some people have, and the pastor really has shunned them. Some people, I've heard horror stories. I'm not going to lie to you, but I've also heard stories of people who found mentors and who found pastors who are great, and they've really helped them through situations. So I think that we can also take the positives as well as point out the negatives, but not always point out the negatives of like, the church is not helping us, the church is not helping us. What about you? What are you doing? There's younger girls in your church. You know, have you spoken to them about their issues? 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, but we expect church aunties to come to us and say, how are you doing? Are we doing that to them, to the younger girls? You know, so I think we have to come from a different perspective sometimes.
And also, just to add to that, like, I think you're saying that, I guess, like, self-esteem, it says it in the word, it's about yourself and trying to work on yourself as well. And I think we shouldn't shun away, like we're saying, oh, go and pray about it, but actually the power of prayer is amazing. Sometimes when you just sit there and you cry your heart to God, honestly, like, the Spirit just uplifts you, and like the amount of promises we have in his word. So I guess when our parents say go pray, like, they might just say it as a fly of comment, but actually the power, and they are speaking from a place of experience. And like you said, Petty, that as well, there's so many resources available to us. There's books online, there's so many TED Talks that are out there. I think it's sometimes actually taking that step to think, okay, I have an issue here, and yes, there might not be people who want to help me, but what steps am I taking to get better? Don't just be a victim in all of it. God has given you the strength, given you the intellect to want to go out there and actually get better with whatever's going on.
And that reminded me as well, like what you just mentioned about prayer, like, and it always makes me feel uncomfortable as well when we say this, when we say, oh, they just say pray about it, because do we know the God that we serve? Like, I'm not saying that there's a space for everything. Like, of course, if you have a broken leg, go and get surgery. I'm not saying don't go get surgery, but Jesus also touched someone and they were healed, and legs grew and arms grew, and I'm still someone who believes in miracles. So just as much as we believe in the power of our doctors, yes, we should believe in the power of God, because he is God of the creator. He says, I will make you a new person. He created you, so he has the power to heal your traumas. He has the power to heal your prayer. Really is actually also a remedy as much as therapy is. You know, when God says pray without ceasing, or come to me and I will give you rest, or cast your cares on me because I care for you. Like, those, if we truly believe in the God that we say we believe in, then we shouldn't just say, oh, pray about it. Oh, like, shun the idea of praying about it. No, actually, pray about it, you know.
That's it.
Oh, sorry, Tari.
No, go on, Vimbai.
I'm just going to add quickly.
Your volume.
I think that's that I'm trying to see in terms of like.
Sorry, Vimbai. Your volume is quite low.
I have been, okay. So, I mean, adding on to what Nellahgrace just said now, we understand that there's power.
I'm struggling.
Sorry, guys. It happened.
Introduce yourself again. They didn't hear you the first time.
From the beginning.
Sorry, guys. I mean, I've got someone listening here, so I was sharing the AirPods. But anyway, I think what it is we're talking. I mean, I'm not going to say that's everyone here, but from the platform that we're saying here, it's more like we understand for ourselves what prayer is, or how the power of prayer is to ourselves. That's because we've had that personal walk or that experience with God for me to understand that. But I think when we're looking at the whole support system in terms of self-esteem, I'm trying to put everyone in that bracket. So I'm trying to look from someone who may know about prayer, but have not experienced that power of prayer fully, and all the way to someone who understands exactly what you're saying in terms of power of prayer. But the thing is, I'm a young person, or I'm a young woman, okay, young, old. I go to someone, approach them with a problem. A lot of times, because we're in a church settings, we always generalize that we're on the same level. That's what I'm trying to get on, to say sometimes it's not always the case. Because we're in a church setting does not mean we're at the same level of spirituality, for example. If I'm coming to you with a problem, prayer for you to understand that I may understand the power of prayer to a certain extent, you have to know me. So you understand, okay, I have conversations with Vimbai a lot of times, and when we talk in our conversation, she knows that there's power in prayer. But this is a young person probably approach someone for the first time. I mean, we get young people coming from different places. Sometimes some of them, I don't even know them, but they just show up and they're talking about their struggles in life. It's a lot of times because, like I said, we're in the church settings, we tend to veer in the prayer about it. They probably don't understand what prayer really means. And the prayer that they know is just a bracket word, the same way as Christians do this, but sometimes Christians don't do certain things, but it's a bracket word. So we have to be careful when we're approaching someone that comes to us with a problem. If I say pray about it, do they understand that level of prayer about it? I have my own problems, I understand, but if you put your problems away sometimes when someone is approaching you, it's okay. Put your problems on the side. I understand you're taking someone's trauma, but it's the same thing. You can find someone else that you can go and confide in as well. So it's like, I don't know if I'm getting the point across very well, but we need to be very careful in terms of, I know there's power in prayer because I've had that experience myself with understanding who God is for me and the things that he's done for me in life, but not everyone has had the same experience. So not everyone understands that there's power in prayer. So that's my point across. So sometimes we need to be careful not to just generalize something just because we're in a setting that everyone is. I mean, in the Bible, we have to be, we're supposed to preach the word out there. So yes, we don't know everything. We're all people that, when we're going to fellowship with one another in the church setting, we're all sinners coming with different problems. But in those different problems, I mean, our professions as well, they can help us. Like you're a doctor, for example, sometimes you'll be able to determine, oh, this probably is a problem that needs to be dealt with. If someone goes to the doctors, someone who's a psychologist will probably realize, I probably just need to speak to this person. So you then refer that person. Actually, I'll help you to speak to this person. He might or she might deal with your problem differently. So yeah.
All right. Sorry, Yolanda, did you want to?
I'm gonna quickly just say, based on what you're saying about prayer, that I think sometimes that's why it's also important that to be honest with where you are, like you're saying, but being honest, I'm not going to embarrass someone here, but this particular lady on this platform who, she probably doesn't even know how she inspired me, like probably in the last year or so. For those who are on the prayer platform group, I've been going through life and things like that. And I remember she practically said to me, I'll never forget this. It was the beginning of January, I think probably like the 3rd or 4th. She's like, Yolanda, this situation you're going through, I went through the same situation where I started the year in the pits of hell, so to speak, but God saw me through. And then she even helped me. And I remember at the time, I really felt like the devil was trying to take me out, and then that's when I had multiple car accidents, just unexplained, where literally one after the other, where I just couldn't understand what was happening. And I remember she just, I don't want to say sow a seed, but she, blessed me financially. And she was like, I'm in a position to do this when last year I couldn't. And I just didn't understand, okay, yeah, she's giving a testimony. Yeah, we're all praying. And I never understood that. And I think last year when I was going through, I think I was praying, but I don't think I was praying, like you're saying, where you're praying, but you're not really praying. So anyway, I think nonetheless, as the year progressed, I probably stopped praying because I was thinking, okay, she said I should pray. I've been praying since January to April. I've not seen a turnaround yet. Okay. Got to August now. I was like, where is it, God? Where is it? And I remember things just went downhill, even from my Christianity perspective. And like I was saying, with these multiple attacks, I kid you not, on Christmas Day, I had another car accident where literally I was stationary. Someone came from nowhere and, just crashed into me. So I was just like, what is this? What is this? And I remember, cliche as it may sound, on the 31st of December, I was meant to go to my friend's church, but I was like, I'm going to stay at home. So I think I need to speak to God to understand what's happening, because, people pray and they get results. What is happening with me? And I kid you not, that day, I think in my whole prayer life, I've never prayed the way I prayed. And I was like, I want to see the same returns. I've been faithful, even when I've not been coming to church or even been praying. I've always been faithful with my, my tithe and things like that, to the extent where I was like, I even return 20%, you ask for 10. Yeah, I'm not seeing you. And I think sometimes when you bring yourself to a place of humility where you're so broken that it's like you're in the pits of hell, there was nowhere further to go. And I kid you not, like by the end of January, God was doing things. Like even right now, and I remember even right now, I'm like, wait, how did we get here? Like I even pinch myself, like, wait, how did I go from being in such a financial mess to like, I'm like, God, I mean, she said that she prayed for 3 months, but so sometimes it's just being patient and knowing that God is trying to teach you something. He's trying to teach you, he can sustain you. And I think I was trying to sustain myself. So God was like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You go through this year where you don't know what's going to happen to you, where you're literally saying, do you know what, life is hard. And now when he opens the blessings, and I think when you return your tithe and offering, I never understood that he will open literally. When I say, so if you need help, guys, you can come through. The Lord has blessed me.
I can bless you.
I can bless you because
you.
I remember that, Yolanda. I'll send you my account details.
I still have them. Don't worry.
Auntie Yolanda. Hey.
But I think
I'm a student in it, so
I think God comes through. It may take a year and a bit, but when it comes through, yeah, even like stop it. Even like now, I'm like, it's enough now.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? When you're going through those difficult times, how is your self-esteem affected?
I think, personally, I think last year from probably August to December, probably like I was saying, like it was probably the hardest period of my life, because the thing where career-wise, it's like you're excelling, you've got a good job. For someone my age, I've got a good pay. It's like everything else is happening, but that's when I understood that, like mental health and things like that, like mental health is no regard for where you are in life. You know what I mean? You can have the job where it's like, okay, I'm young, I'm getting positions I should not be getting. But I think, from August to December, like I even remember the day when I had, because it was Christmas, I remember that day, even when everything happened, I was just like, do you know what? I was like, okay, not to say I want to die, because I don't want to be dramatic. But I remember I was like, what more is there to live for? Because then it's like, okay, I've just finished my master's this year. Yeah, I'm not even happy about it. I've got a new job. Yeah, I'm not even happy about it. Life wasn't making sense, even though that's when I realized the things of the world do not bring fulfillment, because it's like I was ticking things on my little tick box that, okay, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. So in the view of the world, and that's why when you've got worldly friends, you can't then say you're struggling, because they're like, oh, you just got a pay rise, but this just happened. They can't understand why you're in that place. But then I had to find God, so to speak, to say, actually, I needed the void. Nothing could fill the void. And I think, those were August to December were definitely like dark times. I'm not gonna lie. It was just like, it was hard. But we thank God for prayerful friends, Shout out to Gugu, because I feel like you wanted me to say, shout out to you for praying.
No. Thank you very much for sharing that testimony. I think it's a big plus to have people that pray for you. And I think one of the main things I wanted to say, just to tap onto what Yolanda and Petty said, especially, sometimes as Petty said, as a generation, sometimes we're very entitled, because we have now found the knowledge of how, let me not say we now have the knowledge of how certain things should be, but because we're now versed on certain things, on mental health, on wokeness and all that stuff. So we feel so entitled about certain things. But like Petty was saying, what are you doing in your church? Are you mentoring someone? Are you following up on the little girls and the teens? You can't be that person that only wants to go into church, sit down, happy Sabbath, come out, and then come back again and complain and say the church is not doing anything. What are you doing in the church yourself to help the little girls that are going through it? Because think about it, when you were 16 or 15, what were you going through at that stage? You were going through the stages of no one has a crush on you in school, so you feel you're not that nice. The guys in the school are calling you too dark. All those things. You were going through so many things in your life. So what are you doing to uplift the younger women that are in the church as well? So we have stayed way too long in this topic. So I am going to move us on to the next one. And this one's going to be much more relaxed, since we've unpacked a lot on this one. So the next one is just a question to everyone, but I want Sophie and Mutsa to answer first, because you guys have been so quiet. What is the most negative trend that you have seen so far in 2020? This could be social media, this could be Yeah, anything. What is the most negative trend? And I want each and every single person to answer, starting with Mutsa.
Unmute yourself.
Let me.
I would say misinformation about this whole coronavirus going on. Like, there's just a lot of information that some of it is not accurate at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's one of the negative trends, basically, that's going around, really.
Thank you. And Sophie?
Okay, I don't have a negative trend for 2020, but I think in general, a negative trend is, I think Gugu touched on it, where you have to have everything together. And I think that is such a negative trend because it puts so much pressure on like everything, and especially with everything just being stopped and coronavirus is literally taken over. I think that trend sort of makes you anxious in so many ways. So for me, that's probably 2020 negative trend.
Okay, I have Yolanda, since your mouth is already open.
I think the probably negative thing, I'll probably say this whole generation of like cancel. So like throughout the whole COVID thing where everyone's like 2020 is cancelled, blah, blah, blah. But I genuinely feel like, there's power in what you say, in as much as the world is upside down, it's still, don't run with it. Because I know sometimes we say things out of banter, but you need to speak life into your situations, you know what I mean? So you can't be day in, day out saying it's cancelled, it's cancelled, it's cancelled. Because you become what, so what you feed your mind, that's what you become. So I think that's a bit, I try and stay away from pages or, Insta pages or Twitter accounts that portray that message constantly, because then I want positivity. So it's not cancelled because, it's only what, May.
In May.
You can't cancel the whole year. You don't know what God is going to do, you know what I mean? It's like, ultimately he's in control. So then you can't cancel a whole year. Who are we? It's like,
Yeah. I think, tying that onto the whole cancellation trend, like that whole thing of canceling people because of certain things that have said when they were younger or back in 2011 when Twitter was so toxic or whatnot, that type of stuff. And I kid you not, I don't see anything wrong with rebuking people for certain things that they have done, but I feel like the trend now is to just cancel someone and that's it. There's no opportunity for someone to even when they do apologize, it's like, oh yeah, that's just a statement that they've put out because they want to save their brand. But we're not giving people the opportunity to actually even repent from the things that they've said. You don't even know how much progress that they have had from 2011 to 2020 right now. It's just first thing to say, oh, they were saying this, they were doing that, so therefore we cancel them. There's not that whole concept of proper forgiveness because all we're doing straight away is just canceling someone. I'll go to Petty.
I think mine goes with kind of with yours. It's the idea that everyone has the ability to voice an opinion. Like everyone can. And sometimes some people's opinions are not valid. I know everyone says that, oh, everyone's opinions are valid, but I really don't believe so. Like some people just need to shut up. I'm just being honest.
Petty.
I'm just being honest. Like I just feel like not everyone should be able to voice their opinion. So it's like the idea that on Twitter, everyone has a platform to say what they think. And I just think that, and we all consume it. Like we're consuming it constantly. Like when I'm just scrolling, someone saying this and someone saying that, like as a man thinketh, so is he. And you think according to what you get into your soul, right? So it's like the fact that everyone can just say what they want, and that goes into the idea of canceling because everyone thinks they're so self-righteous. I'm so perfect, so therefore I can cancel this person for saying this when they were 12, as if we didn't say things when we were 12 that were terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's the self-righteousness and the idea of everyone being able to have an opinion. Like I just don't like. I think that's just can be really negative and toxic.
And I think this is the time where we also have to practice our power of urgency and just block those things, block and mute the people that are bringing too much negativity in your life. Like what Yolanda said, there's certain platforms, certain places where, it's just negative energy coming from those platforms. All they do is just broadcast gossip, the next thing and that, block those things, because at the end of the day, you then become what you see, what you read about, and then you wonder why you're stressed, you wonder why you can't sleep, you wonder why you can't do all the things, simply because all you're doing is just absorbing negative energy. I'll go on to Vimbai.
Yeah, I mean, the negative thing that I've realized, I think I've took a step back from social media actually. So I give myself a number of hours, probably a week, to go on social media. I mean, I was so into I wasn't into, but I was getting tired of challenges. So I felt like I needed to live up to each and every single challenge that I did. That changes. That changes
Mrs.
the
Muchina.
person. That changes. I mean, when I say those kind of challenges, I mean, that's okay, because I'm someone who loves fitness, right? So I could take something in fitness, but it doesn't mean you always have to live up to what someone wants you to live up to, because it goes back to self-esteem, because I can't keep up with social media. The moment I do this, by the time I post it, and I'm happy that I've posted it, there's something else better. So you can't keep following up. And now all I see in social media, people, especially Instagram, people keep updating. That's not me. So it's like you have to take a step back when you realize now you're being too invested in something that's not for you, if that makes sense. So some people are great on social media, some people are not. But as long as you do things that are healthy for you as a person, then you're fine. So if you're doing it for you, it's okay, but don't try to please others. So that's what I say. So people need to stop forcing people into doing things.
I mean, having said that, I feel like
that's indirect shot to me.
It's not. No, it's not even. It's not, guys. It's not even that.
That I need to stop challenging people, and this is
no. I think what it is. I think it's not to do per se with fitness, no, because if I don't want to do a challenge, it's not hard for me to say to Mel, I'm not doing it. And when I do it, I do it. But what I've realized on social media, I mean, when that Don't Rush challenge happened, I felt like I needed to do it because everyone was doing it. So I mean, left, right, and center, I was getting messages from uni friends, from workmates. Can you do this to show who? It just wasn't me. I was enjoying it, watching others doing it. It was great, but was it me? No, it wasn't. So I had to. And anytime I don't do it, I felt bad because I'm like, people are waiting for me to be doing this challenge, but I don't want to do it. So I had to take a step back. And whenever I think social media is good for you if you know how to manage it. But if you're
I was about to say, I think this is the part where I was saying you need to know, just, it's not by force.
That's the thing.
You control how people make you feel. You control how whatever's being posted makes you feel. Like I said, if there's certain things that are not giving you good vibes, then cool, get rid of those things. But at the end of the day, if Mutsa challenges me to run 5K for the NHS, I'm sorry, I can't do that. So therefore, I'm not going to put that pressure on myself to now go and do it because Gugu's busy posting her running. Yes, I think there's a big difference between motivation and pressure. Most times, most people post things to motivate, and then there's most times also people post to put pressure on people. But then again, I've always felt that social media is just one of those things where it's your platform. It's not for anyone else. Just put what you want to put. Don't worry about the likes. Don't worry about just do you. I'll go to Gugu and then Melly.
Actually, just adding on to what Vimbai said, I think my sorry, what was the question? A trend that you don't like this year?
Yeah.
I think when this whole COVID thing started, I was just like, I'm going to come out of this person better than I had gone in. But actually, I think there was a post that I saw and it said, oh, if you don't come out this as a business owner or having a life together, I think that for me is an unpopular trend, because actually this time was also a great time to just relax, actually just find yourself again. And I think, like we're saying, sometimes that pressure is, oh, you need to be starting a business, you need to be exercising 10,000 times a day. But actually, what maybe I need during this time is just to take a step back, to just chill, actually enjoy time with my friends and family, and distance myself from certain people, certain activities. So yeah, I think that pressure to get things done during COVID, I guess if you want to get your life together, go ahead, maybe for someone else, they need to just relax, recuperate, and become like mentally, physically stable as well. So yeah.
Melly?
I'm gonna try to find a different one because I think everyone else mentioned like basically what I was gonna say. But I think COVID hasn't just started, but it didn't start like in January. Well, apparently it started before that in China around November times, but before we got to know about it. There's always been like every year this is a trend where everybody's getting married, like every single person. You feel like during summertime everybody's getting married, and I feel like even some of my friends, like I was speaking to one of my close friends and she was just saying like she feels so much pressure because she feels like, you know, every single time there's someone doing this, someone doing that, someone's getting engaged in Paris, somebody's, you know, going to Bali, somebody's doing this, somebody's doing that. And I feel like me then being in it, I'm like, guys, you don't want to rush it because having to live with someone who like is not even your best friend, you will bump heads a lot. Like, why are you rushing? You know, like obviously it's such a nice thing, but you know, it's also difficult at the same time. And I feel like people then forget the seasons that they're going through. Like in that season, there's so many things to do and there's so many ways you can bless other people and, you know, develop yourself and some things that you might not get to do, you know, once you get married and things. And I think also just remembering that, you know, like just let things pass and just, you know, don't feel pressure of anything and, you know, just do your thing. But yeah, I feel like this is just a trend that normally just goes around every single year.
That's a good point.
I think that for me, really, with regards to that trend, it's mostly I want to get. I don't even like using the term married to describe this, but I want to have a wedding so I can put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or I want to have a husband so we can go on vacations and take pictures for people. Yeah. And you know, that kind of thing. Because I really don't like it when people say, oh, you know, with this whole thing of people getting married. Because marriage is a beautiful thing if you work for it, if you work on it, if you do all the things that you need to do. But it's just that I think a lot of people focus a lot on the wedding aspect of things. Just that one day that you're focusing on, and then you wake up to that next person for the rest of your life simply because you wanted to do a wedding for Instagram. I mean, yeah. We'll go to Nonsi and then Nom.
Oh yeah, I think one of the negative things that I've seen is that like when this whole like COVID thing started, I saw that I think it's like a political thing really for me. It's like the whole world now going into basically loads of countries being pressured to go into lockdown. And I think I sort of realized like my privilege in the sense that like there are many people out there who live like hand to mouth, like so let's say particularly in the African context, so countries being put under pressure to go into lockdown, but there are people who have no option, like people are gonna be starving, you know, and maybe die of starvation rather than die of COVID. So like when I was watching videos from like other countries where people are literally getting flogged for being outside, or people just trying to like, you know, do a trade just so that they can survive, I think that was something that was quite upsetting for me, because I was like, you know, sometimes like when things like this happen, I think at the time I was frustrated that I have to, you know, get out of uni and then come home and try and do a degree from home. But then I think I acknowledge that I have a lot to actually be grateful for and things not to complain about. So I think that was, yeah, I think the most negative thing is seeing the impact it had on other poorer countries and the pressures that they were facing.
Do I speak now?
You.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I mean, you ladies have mentioned pretty much everything that I would have said. I would just say the one that Gugu mentioned, that you know, there was that trend going around that you know, you've got all the time in the world now, you've got to come out of this, you know, with everything set on 100, like body on flick, mind on flick, everything on flick, bank account on flick. Then I was like, hold on a minute. How can all these things be on flick when the things that need to make it on flick are closed? You know, so I was like, pause. So, and that I must say that one for a second did catch me, because I found myself literally for a minute, I was like, whoa, this is mad. I've got all the time in the world. What am I doing with myself? But then I realized that actually, no, the most important thing for me right now is to keep my mind strong, because I'm stuck in this house all by myself. I can't go and see my family. I can't go and see my friends. I'm not going to put the pressure on myself to be doing the madness. The only thing I'll guarantee I'll do on a day-to-day is wash and eat. Everything else, it will happen if it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. And again, sorry, I'll be really quick. Like what you guys were saying about the challenges. Yeah, no, I was tired for a while. You know me, I was tired. Especially the Don't Rush challenge. People are coming from me left, right, and center. Did the challenge. I was like, for what? You sit in my house with makeup. I can't. My makeup is expensive. Don't come at me like that. Number two, I was like, you know what? I think this year, well, the last couple of years, I found security within myself that, you know, like what you're saying with ladies, with being mindful of what's on your social media. I think I found myself in a place that, in these challenges and this period has made me realize more so that I'm secure within myself, that I'm not going to do things just for the sake of doing it. If I want to do something, I will do it. If I don't, I won't. And also, like you're saying, that be mindful, you know, what you see on the socials, and knowing that, you know what, just because it worked for that person, it doesn't mean that, you know, if I don't do it, that makes me any less of a person. No, me, I'm fine sitting on my sofa. I'm okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insightful answer to the question. We're going to move on now next to the next part about self-worth. And I just want someone who's not spoken that much to actually just, I'm only going to ask a couple of people to just share on this so that we can quickly move on. But in terms of self-worth, Mutsa, is it okay if I can put you on the spot to talk about certain time or place or area in your life that has made you question your self-worth as a young lady? You're on mute again. See how much she's not talking. She's been on mute.
Say the question again.
The question is, what is the biggest thing that has made you question your self-worth as a young lady?
Can you come back to me while I think about it?
No problem, that's fine. I can come back to you. Does anyone else want to chip in whilst Mutsa's thinking of her answer? Could certainly be about anything.
What was the question?
The question was, what is one of the biggest things that has made you question your self-worth as a young lady?
Oh, okay. I think for me, I'll go if no one wants to go. Growing up as well, I think it was you that mentioned earlier. I think it's the idea, I don't know why we put this, well, for me, the idea of being desired. So if you're like in school, if no one likes you, if no one thinks you're nice, then you don't think that you're worth anything, because, you know, no one wants you in it. So it's like, oh, okay, so that means I must not, because your worth is like, what is someone willing to pay for you, basically, right? What is someone give for you? So if no one wants you or your desirability, for me, that's what I struggled with a lot growing up. It's like, oh, no one wants me, so I must not be enough, or I must not be nice enough, or whatever the thing is. So I think that a lot of my self-worth was put in men, basically, like in and it's not even, you know, a lot of the times that's because a lot of people have daddy issues when they do that, but I don't. Like, I have an incredible father who loves me and is a great father, but for some reason it's like that idea of wanting to be desired, and that comes with not just friendships, but like from the opposite sex, basically, like that a lot of self-worth is put into that. And I mean, I don't struggle with that anymore, but I know when I was younger, that is something that really like shook me, and I was just like, okay. So yeah.
Before I ask you the next question, Petty, I just want to say, for all the ladies that are on the panel here right now, how many people can say they relate to what Petty is saying? I'll put my hand.
But then can I just say this one thing, because if you read in Genesis, from the Garden of Eden, when Eve decided to take the apple, we were cursed to desire.
Yeah, of the men. Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad thing to have a desire of a guy, of a man, or of your husband or boyfriend or whatever, but I think it's just managing it and not letting it then over sort of rule. But like inherently we have it because we were cursed to have it. So there's nothing you can do. Like there's so many times I try, like, God, please, why do I have to desire him so much? Why? But like, you just can't help him. Like, you know, that's just how we are. So
no, I think the problem is like putting your self-worth in it. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That you're not worth, like, you're not, because no one thinks you're nice when you're 16. I mean, I'm flipping 16, you know? So it's like, but when you're 16, it's like, oh my goodness, why does all the boys like my friend and no one ever asked me for my number? Or why is it when I, like, it's a struggle. So when you have that desire, like what you said, if it's a desire that's put inside of you and then it's not being fulfilled, because obviously you're trying to fulfill it with a man and not the man Jesus Christ. But if you're trying to fulfill it with people, then that's where your whole worth is put into, and then it's a mess. It's just a mess.
I mean, the next question that I was going to ask you, Petty, for anyone who's watching, any young lady who's 16, or even ladies our age right now who are going through that, what made you overcome that whole concept of wanting to desire or wanting to place your self-worth in someone desiring you?
I think for me, it was finding Jesus. It was understanding who I am, like what my identity is, because what I was essentially doing was saying that I'm only worth something if another human being or if a man says I'm worth something and what they're willing to give me. So that whether that ended up being giving away my body or giving away my mind or giving away my time, it all was just, you know, love me, or think I'm worth something for whatever reason. And sometimes I'm saying that, like, love me. That's not what I was thinking when I was 16. Obviously, all I was thinking was, oh, I just want someone to think I'm nice. I just want someone to like me too. But I think what helped me was understanding that my worth is in Jesus. And I know that can sound very spiritual and not practical, but it really is practical, because I understood that the creator of the universe, like, he literally created everything, came to this earth and died for me. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to give his life. And then he resurrected, is in heaven. And he says that I am worth that position. I am literally like a daughter of the creator. Like, that's where my worth is. And to me, that's just like mind blowing. So when I understood that around 17, 18, when I gave my life to Jesus and I understood that, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like, you know, I know who I am. I am a daughter of Jesus Christ. I'm a daughter of God. I'm a daughter of the creator. You know, we're still trying to figure out science, and he's created it. And he says that I am his and I'm fearfully, wonderfully made. And he created me and saw that I was good. And all these affirmations of the word made me realize who I was. And as much as my desire is to be a man, that was when I was under Adam. I'm no longer under a curse, for example. I'm under Jesus, who says my worth is his life, and his love. So I think that's, for me, that's the only thing that ever worked for me to understand my worth.
I also wanted to add on to that and say that actually, when you place your self-worth on, let's say, like, men around you, their desires change constantly. So you every time you're gonna keep like chasing up, oh no, they like this, so I'm gonna turn into that. Oh no, now they like this, so now I have to turn into that. And I think when you realize that, when you put that worth in Jesus, his mind will never change. Like, he's always gonna feel the same way about you. Long as you live, really. Like, even before you were born, he already decided that he loved you no matter what. And I think realizing just how empty it is to keep chasing someone's idea of what's nice, you know. Like, I don't know if this almost goes into, I don't know, like, if you guys had this experience where when you were younger, I don't know if you grew up in like very white like areas where like no one desires you, and then as it almost seemed like it became trendy to like black women, and then it's like, oh, now they desire me. It's like, oh, I look good. Then it's you see, it's basically, that is an example of putting your self-worth in something, because now you've now changed, because they like Susan. Now you have to now be yourself again because now they like you. So I think I really agree with what Patty just said there, like about, you know, placing your value in Jesus, because there's no point where you'll say, actually, you know what, done with you, I like someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's a very big problem, because what I'm getting from all of what we're saying here is we have at some point in our lives we have a problem in which where I mean, I know I experienced this, where my self-worth was diminished. It was affected because I realized that other people were not seeing my self-worth. I don't know if that makes sense. So because I'll give an example, like I said before, because I'm in a wheelchair, a lot of people some people who don't know me treat me people be very, very weird, like as if, you know, I can't have a conversation, you know. And I mean, actually, I don't get it. Let me not lie, I don't get it. But people, you know, were treating me some type of way. They were not expecting me to have if I had an opinion, people were like, oh, she speaks. You know, if I had a job, if I did anything, people would be shocked by it, and they'd be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. And the way that people were treating me, I could see that many of them didn't believe or didn't see my self-worth, or they didn't realize, you know, my potential or the person that I truly was. And I clung onto that for so many years, that because so many people were not seeing my self-worth, it meant that it wasn't there. Exactly. And again, that what Nellahgrace said, that when I found Jesus, when Jesus took me up and he was like, listen, I love you, you're mine, I am all about you, Nom. Like every part of you, even the parts of you that you wish were not there, I am all about that. And I was like, whoa, like I am worth the life of Jesus Christ, the man who speaks things into existence. Do you know what I mean? So all these people around me that don't see my worth, that's not my business. That's got nothing at all to do with me. You know, that was when I realized that actually, if God says I'm worthy, then I am. And that was when I started realizing my own self-worth. And since then, yeah, you can't tell me nothing, Shem.
I was gonna quickly say, on a practical level, I'm not sure if everyone's Adventist here, where I think we all know, like in the Adventist church, you've got Ellen G. White, and I never used to read her books, but someone recommended that I start off with Desire of Ages, just as a basic, you know, and I've been reading it, and everything we're speaking about ties in so well with that when you actually understand. You know, I think sometimes we take for granted that, oh, God came to die for us. It's like that plan of salvation was put in motion way before creation. You know what I mean? It's like he foresaw everything. And when you read Desire of Ages in hand with John, you will never ever doubt who you are in Christ, or the magnitude of his love. And I think even if I was an Adventist and I was reading that book, I think I'll still hold the same sentiments. I'm still working through it. But I think for those who are listening, on a practical level, if you're thinking, okay, people keep saying, you know, Jesus loves me. Okay, how do I know? Just reading from a different perspective, you know, what it meant for him to humble himself, you know, amongst the angels, to say, actually, I'll be below the angels. Actually, I'm going to come in human form, and the struggles, you know, I think sometimes you just think, oh, because he was God, it was easy. He still had the same struggles. He could have said at any point, I'm done, I'm going back to heaven, you know what I mean? But he saw through the plan, because it's, you know, it's before even sin came, God was like, okay, I'm going to put a plan for my kids that if anything was to ever happen, it wasn't, and the devil will have you think it's because of sin that Jesus came. No, that plan was before even creation. It's just a thing where the devil will play with your mind, and especially self-worth, because he is the father of lies. So he will tell you that, you know, you're not worthy. And many times you find that your soul will feed into other people. So when you're feeling a bit low, somehow everyone around you is a bit low as well. So you need to be like careful who you surround yourself with, because it's a thing where you need to seek positivity, speak people who will speak life into your situation. Because if I'm feeling low and we're both wallowing and feeling low, it just becomes a vicious cycle, and the devil will have you be in that place where you actually believe you're not worthy of anything. But I think, yeah, if you read other books as well, like we're speaking about TED Talks and things like that, on a practical level, you can start to build up your self-esteem in a way. And it's a journey, you know what I mean? I'm 27, I've only started reading Desire of Ages because of COVID, you know what I mean? Whereas, you know, I know people who started 12. So it's a thing where it's a journey. Don't gauge your self-worth also based on others, because, you know, you can be 60 and have no self-worth. Just be content with where you are, but also have a plan to say, okay, I'm in this position, but I want to move forward. Let's move forward. Baby steps, will get you where you want to be, but you have to start as well. You need to take ownership of it. There's no point in listening to all this and then you do nothing because you're not progressing. So it's baby steps.
So can I just say something? I think I've noticed my self-worth has been when I've allowed myself to stay in situations that I know, or I've known for ages are not good for me. And I've made excuses, seen the red flags, and known, okay, this friendship's not great for me, this relationship, this job, or this experience I'm going through is not good. But I've convinced myself. And then later on, I'm thinking, why am I hurt? But actually, the signs were there that this is always going to lead you to never a great outcome. And one of the things that my mother always likes to say is never sell yourself short. And I think sometimes we cheapen ourselves because either we want to please someone or we don't realize our potential of how great we are. And we lose our identity or even lose a vision for ourselves. I think the Bible says that my people perish because of a lack of vision. And I think if we don't know where we're going, you don't have a purpose in your life. Of course, you'll then fall along the wayside and be like, okay, I'll accept this because there's nothing else that I stand for, or I'm allowing this person to say these things to me because I'm just consuming their opinion of me. But I think when you identify, okay, this thing is not going to come out, it's not going to have a good outcome, and being able to walk away from that situation as soon as possible. And I wholeheartedly believe that God has given us instincts to be able to walk away, and it flags up things to us that we might not see instantly, but later on it will all reveal that actually this thing wasn't for you and has affected your self-worth. So yeah.
I think that's a very good point in terms of not ignoring the red flags, and not just red flags. I've always been someone where if I like someone, I pray and ask God whether I'm meant to be with that person. And I kid you not, I got all the red flags. Prayer came back, told me, nope, that is not the person for you. And what did I do? I still went into the relationship. Simply for me, it was just a case of, I like this person, so therefore I'm going to go into. So sometimes we might see the red flags, we might see the warning signs, but we just go into it, even though God is just saying, nah, this is not it for you. This is not the one for you. So before I move on to Mutsa's point, as that's going to be our closing point on this topic, I just got a comment on our YouTube page, and it's coming from Slim. And he said, out of curiosity, have ladies thought of looking at things from a man's perspective on some of these topics?
Quickly, no.
Yeah, I'm not a man, so I can't.
Not to come across rude, but this is the whole predicament. We're in this situation based because we like to base our value based on a man's perspective. So I think it negates the whole conversation if you're looking from a man's. I'm not a man, so why am I going to think like a man? Because I'm not a man. So I think, sorry to shut this down, but I think. No.
And you did.
I was just gonna say that, like, whatever we're talking about now, it doesn't only affect women.
Yeah, of course.
It actually also affects men. So I feel like they can also relate to what we're talking about, because it's not only women that go through these things, it's men as well that go through these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I speak for them though. So stop. I would say that we know that men go through this, and I mean, I have brothers. I don't have any sisters. I've not got brothers, so I know that men go through this. But I can't speak for them. I can attempt to, but most likely I'll get it wrong because I'm not a man. I don't understand, where they are. So it's important for men to come and have these conversations so we can hear from their perspectives, because I can't put your perspective in my mouth because it won't come out right. It will not be the truth.
And I think that's a very good point. And just to point out that the men will be having their men's night. So whatever points you want to take up from this to be like, yeah, we didn't like what you guys were saying about this, feel free, because that's going to be your space to speak up about certain things. But like rightly, as the lady said, we can't speak from your perspective because you all go through different things. You might relate to what we're going through, but we can't speak from your perspective because we're not men. So Mutsa, and then we'll close off this and move on to the next part.
Listening to everyone, I just, thought about something. But I think when I moved to the UK when I was about 15, I wanted to fit in a lot because, you're coming from a different country. You want to fit in, you want to make friends, you want to, you know how it is as a teenager. And I remember coming here and I was introduced in a class, and the tutor that introduced me at first asked me, "What's your name?" I was like, Mutsa, because in Zimbabwe I was known as Mutsa. And she was like, "Oh, I can't really pronounce it properly." Then I was thinking, oh my days, well, my second name is English. So I was like, Erica. And then from that time, I was like, oh, everyone can call me Erica. But it's because, I wanted to fit in and, be part of the sort of, teenage groups and things like that. But yeah, I think growing now, I'm just realizing that, I'm unique, and, I just need to embrace that I'm unique. And yeah, that's what I would say so far, yeah. And I like the verse that says, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. I think it always just comforts me, really. That's, yeah.
Can I just add on to what Mutsa said, just before we move on? I mean, I have a niece, basically, and the mom is always singing, "You're special, you're fearfully and wonderfully made." And every time I'm on the phone with her, she goes, "I'm special, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made." It's like, it's lovely to hear when she says it with character, enthusiasm. But if you think about it, she's being groomed into realizing how special she is, or how wonderful she is in whatever skin, complexion that she is. It is who she is. She is special. So I think moving on from now, every young person that I will meet along the way, it's nice to tell them how beautiful they are in whatever way they look. Maybe that will also help in situations of self-worth. So you don't have to look like this person for people to embrace you for who you are.
That's a very good point. Sorry, Petty, Laura, you want to say something?
I was going to add on to that what you said as well, because it's from a different perspective, and I just want people to hear me out on the idea of self-affirmation, especially when it comes from young age. I think that, well, in my experience, for example, I was always affirmed, like I said, from my parents. I was always affirmed, "You're smart." I was the smartest in my class all the time and all that stuff. And I think that human beings, because if you understand, like, Lucifer fell because of him looking at himself, right? I think that human beings, we also have to be careful not to self-affirm, if that makes sense, too much, like in the sense of our affirmation should be self-affirmed, but in the view of Jesus and not in the view of ourselves, because you can easily think that everything revolves around you. But also on the other side, if you then put your worth, like I think I can't remember who was it that mentioned earlier about grades and all that stuff, when you put so much on yourself, like, I'm great, I'm the smartest, I'm the prettiest, I'm so fantastic, from when you're like 5, and then when you get to 10 and you get in the class and you're not the smartest anymore, then what? Or you get to teenager and maybe you're not the prettiest in the class anymore, when your mom told. And I know that's when it can be healthy. You can healthily self-affirm, in the sense that you can understand that it's not competition, first of all, like you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and that's it. But there's a difference in you're fearfully wonderfully made means that you're glorifying God, if that makes sense. Not I am fearfully wonderfully made, therefore I am great. Does that make sense?
So in a sense, are you saying that there's a very thin line between self-affirmation becoming arrogance and self-affirmation because you believe in the image that you were made from God?
Yeah. And I think that when it becomes, it might even be arrogance, but it can be putting your worth in yourself. So then when the time comes when you're shaken, like, oh, you're not the smartest in the class anymore, because you were told all the time by your dad, you're the smartest, you're the smartest, you're the smartest. And then now you're not the smartest, and all you put your worth in was that you're smart. Then it's, oh, I'm shaken now because I'm not. What am I now if I'm not the smartest? What am I now if I'm not the this? But when it's like under the idea that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, because of the creator, Therefore I'm worthy because of my creator. I'm not worthy just because I'm of me, because that was Lucifer's thing. He took his eyes from God. I'm so beautiful because of Jesus, and instead he just said, I'm just so beautiful, you know. And then therefore that made him fall, his pride.
I mean, I suppose looking at it from a perspective of, if you're putting your trust in God, even when you fail, you can still believe and have faith that it's all right, God's going to come through for me.
Exactly.
So I think as mothers, I mean, some of us might not become mothers, some of us might want to be mothers, but as for those that do want to have children, I suppose raising up our kids is making them understand that our self-worth is in God, so that even when we fail, even when we do great, our main help or whoever is behind us is God and not just us ourselves. Okay, I'm just going to move on to the last section because I'm just looking at the time, and this section is just simply about businesses. As us young women, I know there's a couple of us here that've got businesses that are into creation, that create things, content creation, and this is just basically a spot where we're going to talk about, you know, the concept of accepting that not everyone wants to have a 9 to 5, not everyone wants to be a doctor, lawyer, or the professions that our parents grew up thinking is what we're meant to be. So this is also just an opportunity for people to speak about business opportunities that they know of. It could be courses that are being run in the church or courses that are out there that people can use. So this is also time for us to speak on that. So how many of us here have got businesses? Okay, so I see that's Melly and Petty. Petty, what's your business?
I guess content creation. I get paid some from that in all aspects of it, and I also have a property business, I guess, in the sense I have service accommodation.
Okay, and Melly?
I own a hair business.
Okay, cool. So I think I'm going to be throwing most of the questions at you guys, but if anyone here in the panel has got some questions, please feel free to ask. So my question for the business ladies is, I'm trying to find a way to word this. What has been the biggest challenge for you as a woman to not only just start your business, but to run it in this? Yeah. Did you get my question?
Yeah.
Okay, for Melly, basically what I'm saying is, what has been the biggest challenge for you as a woman to not only start, but also run your business so it becomes a successful business?
You want to go first?
Oh, no, you can go.
Challenges, I would say, like right at the beginning. So obviously when you start, you don't really know what you're doing or where you're sort of going unless you have some sort of experience before. So it was a bit muddled up. I didn't know, like, you know, do I don't know, buy hair from this person? Do I buy hair from that person? Do I make my own wigs? Do I buy wigs already made? Do I like make it a service where, you know, it's as cheap as possible so everybody can get it? Or do I like I don't know, make the premium ones and say like this is only for the special kind? Like it was just all over the place. But I think like you know, failing to prepare is just planning to fail. Basically, it goes along those lines. I think I said it wrong, but I think when you do research and everything, like, you know, persistence, and if you do research, there's so many things online, especially like the era that we are in today. You can find anything online. You can make your own website online. There's Wix, there's Squarespace. Like there is nothing that's stopping you from, you know, even if you don't want to have a hair business, even if you don't want to, I don't know, content create, if you just want to make a blog, or everything is there for us. And I think like our generation, we're so spoiled that there's so much information. It's just a matter of just like, am I going to use it, or am I going to read on it, or try to, you know, sort of gain some sort of knowledge? So yeah, I was like, the challenging thing was basically how to start. And I think money as well, like you're thinking, oh, do I only have like, I don't know, pounds in my account, or I don't know, 20 pounds. Like, how do I start a business with 20 pounds, you know, or anything like that. But actually my first ever wig that I made, I used to make wigs for myself, but the first ever wig that I made for someone else, it was one of my mom's friends, and she was like, oh, do you make wigs? I was like, oh, not really, but I can make one for you. So she paid money for me to get the hair, and for basically me to do the wig for her. So I didn't end up having to even spend really a lot. So it was a thing where, you know, you just have to be innovative and just, you know, just start, and yeah.
Start somewhere. So basically your point is start somewhere, whether you've got 20 pounds in your account. I suppose maybe another thing in terms of the money in your account stuff, maybe also looking into things such as people investing in your business, or getting people to help you as a startup as well. I'm not too sure if you guys know anything. I am not a business person, but had you ever thought of those opportunities when you're starting off and you don't have that much money in your account?
Yeah, for me, that I was going to say into that as well, because sometimes business, like a lot of people in business are not honest of how they started up, or they don't want to share, which, I mean, if you can't, I always say that if you have to step down on someone to get somewhere, that means you were never the best, and, you know, because otherwise the person, anyway. But I'm all about sharing. Like, I'll tell you my accountant's number if you need it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. But for me, especially for the property business, I had no money. I went into overdraft. Like, business is also about risk. And I'm not saying take risk and get into debt. I am actually anti-debt a lot of the time. But sometimes I set my mind that I want to start a property business. And with New, my fiance, and I'd said that at the time, like, we were just newly engaged, and he was just saying about how he'd gone into property. He knows a lot about it. He was working in it. And I was a bit like, we don't have the money. So I was just, but when I put my mind to something, I go for it. So anyway, my point is, I went into overdraft in order for me to have the capital to refurb the house that I was going to start service accommodation. And it's because I had a plan. Obviously, even the Bible says plan, you know, before you do anything, you have to plan. So I knew that if I'd done my research before, I did a lot of research websites of how to know if your property is good enough, and where the location, how much money you can charge, what investment do I need, how much money am I going to get, how long is it going to take me to earn that money back, and so forth. So you have to do your research before, and I earned that money back within about 2 months that I went into overdraft for me to be able to get into the house, because I planned it. And not saying that it's always, you know, it might not work. People risk, you know, business risk all the time. You could lose all your money anytime. So you can get investment, external investment. And sometimes investment sounds like a big scary thing. Like you have to go and pitch all these Alan Sugars. No, your mom can be an investment. When you ask your mom, can I have £500 to refurb a room in your house so that I can start putting it on Airbnb and then I'll pay you back? That's an investment. Your friends can give you an investment, like an overdraft or a loan can be an investment. There's banks do business loans all the time. There's loads of ways you can get an investment. It doesn't have to be from, you know, pitching these hedge funds or whatever. So yeah.
Sure. Oh, you're on mute, Tari.
Sorry. Yeah, and I was just saying, thank you very much for sharing those points. In terms of your businesses, have you ever had any moments where, for example, you've approached someone and you've said, oh, I'm starting a business, and then that person has said, oh, okay, cool, and you've not received the support that you really wanted? How have you actually dealt with that situation?
I would say I haven't necessarily come across that per se, mainly because mine wasn't really like sort of like something that needed, I don't know, like capital, like so much money. So I just started with the little that I had and then sort of built up from that. And I think obviously knowing that women love like hair, whether it's extensions, whether you're white or black, like, you know, wigs or extensions are always a thing. I've done wigs on like alopecia patients that, like, you know, don't have literally no hair at all. So, you know, whether you're black, white, or whatever race, you know, wigs or extensions or anything like that is always a thing. So I think going into it, because of that, most people that I did tell, like if I needed any help, were willing to help, because, you know, they can see potential, or I can be able to sort of open up to them and say, look at how much potential this thing has, and, you know, billions of pounds that are being spent, you know, or billions of dollars that are being spent every single year on hair products. Although I have different views on it now, because I recently watched a video about wigs and stuff like that, which kind of put me off, but I'm still doing what I'm doing and trying to figure out how I can balance that. But yeah, like for me, because I didn't have, like, again, as I said, like pre-capital, I didn't really have someone who kind of said but yeah, generally people do have this thing, you know, the risk, a business is a risk at the end of it. You might not work, you know, you could like come out of it not have really done anything, so it is a risk, and I can get why certain people wouldn't be able to sort of like support.
Okay.
I think with that as well, you just have to like, unless you need someone for something specific, then people's opinions shouldn't really matter, because you're not gonna, unless I need your money and you're telling me I'm not giving you money because I don't believe in your business, then your opinion really doesn't really matter. And the only way you can overcome it as well is by showing people that it's working. I forgot to mention as well, I have a recruitment business, so I help students get into medical school. And with that business, when I first tried to explain it, like to my parents, for example, I was like, Mom, like, people are making like millions from this all the time. And only when I was able to bring thousands to say to my mom, look how much I've made from one student, or look how much I've made from this, they were like, oh, it works. So sometimes it's only, you can only show by to the people that matter. Obviously strangers and people on the internet don't matter, but to the people that matter, you can only show through evidence. You know, if your business is not working within a year, when you've projected that you would earn £20,000, if it's a small something, you're just selling something small, and it's not working, then people might look at you funny. But even that, it doesn't matter. If you believe in something and there's a market for it, and you can fill a market, and you know that it's going to work, then you just have to go for it, like no matter what anyone thinks, because I mean, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I've just got one last question, and then after that we'll just close off. But in terms of running a business as a young person, you obviously have family, friends, people that you know, and this question is open to anyone, whether you have a business or not, but what is your take on, I'm a friend, please give me a discount? Or, I helped change your diapers, give me a discount for this. Like, how do you deal with that when someone actually approaches you and say, you need to give me a discount because I have a personal relationship with you?
For me, because I sell products, it happens a lot. But as a person, like, first of all, even when I support other women's businesses, I hate having to ask for them for discounts. I say, even if you're my friend or whatever, charge me the full amount, charge me the full price, because actually as a friend, I should be trying to support your business, not to try to sort of take a bargain, or like say, because I know you or anything, then you should give me a discount. So I always say, you know, even when I had my traditional wedding, my mother-in-law like does sewing, so she did my dress, and then she was like, oh, you don't have to pay. I was like, nope, that's not happening. You better charge me the full amount. I'm not paying even half, even like a little discount. No, I have to have the full amount. And I think, you know, as a friend, or if you're a family member, you should, you know, try to do that, because it is supporting one of your friends, or what if you're the first sale that they've ever had, or what if, I don't know, like they're struggling in their business and they really need that bit of, you know, money that you're giving to them. And, you know, also whatever you do sort of comes back to you. So like, you know, if you say to them, I don't know, I'll pay the full price, in return, if you start your own business as well, they'll be able to say, no, because you did that last time, I'm also going to take the full price for it. So it's just like a give and take. But yeah, let's try to support each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also see it on the other side. I don't really mind, actually. I'm on the other side, because I think that my auntie asking for me to come stay at my place for free is not going to break or make my business. So I see it as both ways. I think it can be excessive, but I also think that friends and family are friends and family for a reason. So I think that it's okay to offer discounts, or sometimes it's okay for my auntie to ask me for a discount. I mean, of course, if I'm just a random friend on social media, I don't even know you, and you're asking for a discount, that's just rude. I don't know you. But if you're my friend or my family, I genuinely think that as well. Sometimes I see that on Twitter a lot when people are like, "Oh, you don't even support my business because you're wanting a discount." I don't know. I think it's a bit of a balance. I think we're friends and family for a reason, and sometimes it's okay to offer. Like what Mel said, it's okay. It was great that she offered to pay her mother-in-law for the full amount, but it was also okay for her mother-in-law to offer that for free. I think both ways are okay. It's just what makes the most sense. So for me, I just don't see my mom or my auntie, or if one friend asking for a referral for medical school. I've actually helped 2 of my friends get into medical school for free without having to pay. So I saved them thousands of pounds and they got in. And for me, I don't really mind, because I'm like, I want to invest and serve you in that way. And it's honestly not going to make a huge difference to my business for me to serve that one friend, because I have 10 other people, or that person might refer me and my services to 10 other people. But if I just shut them down, they might not. So I think it's a balance.
It's a balance. Okay.
As well, like sometimes we have this thing, like I get what Nella's saying, but then sometimes like there's this thing that happens where, because people in a community, I'm not saying like Black communities, but that's a completely different thing, but the Black community sometimes, it's almost like you're entitled because I'm your friend and family. If you don't give me a discount, like what kind of person are you? Like, oh my gosh, that business isn't even that great. Oh, her cakes are not even good. Oh, those wigs anyway. Like, it's almost like an entitlement that because you're friends and family, if you're not doing this, then I'm gonna like despise you for it. But I think if it doesn't, especially if it doesn't hurt you in any way, why not do it? But then also on the other side, that you could be struggling in your business, but you're still offering people for free because you're guilty, because it's my friend or family, and maybe you're suffering greatly in that business. But I think as Nella said, sometimes you can get so many offers as well from that, and maybe sometimes in business you got to detach the emotional side of you and be the business side of you, because as women, emotionally it's like, oh, but this is my friend, oh, but but if you had a business manager who was doing this whole thing, that wouldn't even be a thing unless they're subscribed to some kind of, I don't know, a premium subscription. But I think, when you're starting up and things like that, it is good, but just be careful, especially, when you're trying to move forward, or if you're not doing as well in the business.
I think the beauty of having a panel is that people have different views, experiences, and everything. So as I've always said, when you come on a panel, you're never going to have a panel where everyone agrees. If we all agreed, this would have finished at 8. But we all have different opinions and experiences, and that's the beauty of it. And people experience different things, people learn through different ways, people flourish through different ways. But I think the main component of this is just a case of being, I suppose, in everything that we do, let's glorify God. In everything that we do, God should be first. God should be the center of it, whether it's business, whether it's the way that we conduct ourselves at work, at home, our families, our friends. God should be the center of it all. And honestly, ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight for our first ever ladies night. And thank you for being there, for sharing your personal experiences, your opinions. And I know it's so hard to share your opinion on the internet because you feel like everyone's going to be like, well, you say this on this day and then that day. But honestly, I just want to give thanks for giving me your time, for being here tonight. With that, we're just going to say a word of prayer and then we will finish. So I'm just going to ask if Gugu could pray for us. Gugu, you're on mute.
The Lord heard my prayer.
It was on mute.
Okay. Let me pray. Let's start again. Sorry. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I'd like to thank you so much for this opportunity that you've given us to come here as young people, as young women, dear Lord, to discuss the things that are important to us, such as self-esteem, self-worth, and also being able to progress within business, dear Lord. I want to thank you for all these beautiful ladies, dear Lord, who have been able to come out on here and share what it is, their thoughts, their desires, dear Lord, the things that they've feared and the things that they've been through. And we're thankful, dear Lord, because in all of this, we have seen that you have been with us. You have never left or forsaken us. And we're thankful, dear Lord, because it's a testament of your love and your grace and your mercy within our lives. I ask and pray, dear Lord, that you may please be with us during these really unprecedented times in which are uncertain. We do not know what's happening next. So, dear Lord, we put our faith and our trust in you, knowing that you're the Alpha and the Omega, and you know the beginning and the end. And dear Lord, you have created us, each and every one of us, as we've discussed, different in our different abilities, our skills, our talents. And you've done that because, dear Lord, you want us to celebrate them and to use them to the best of our abilities. So ask and pray, dear Lord, that who has joined this call, that they also see the beauty in themselves, but do not, dear Lord, take that on themselves, but always to give praise and honor to your name. I ask and pray that you may please be with us for the rest of this evening and also for the rest of this week. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much.